What's the big thing about the railroad?
Steepest grade.
It is the steepest grade. It's not exactly the steepest grade. It's the steepest mainline standard gauge track in the nation, in all the United States. And my dad used to work on the railroad, and he would tell us as kids about that. I said, yeah, it's surely not compared to the Rocky Mountains. And Dad would say, well, no, Saluda, North Carolina, it's the steepest. He said, now there's a caveat to that. Out in Colorado and in the Rockies, you may have some narrow 3-gauge tracks, not standard gauge, and they aren't main lines. We run trains, passengers from Charleston to Cincinnati back in the day, every day. One from Cincinnati back to Charleston every day. They would cross the Spartan Road. One from Jacksonville to Asheville, and they would go back and forth every day. So that's a main line. That's not a spur track going into a silver mine or a factory or something like that. So as far as a standard gauge mainline railroad, this is the steepest in the nation. Does anybody know what the steepest point on the Saluda grade is? That's a 3.1 mile section. The steepest part, it averages 4.7. The steepest part is a 5.1.
Is that right?
That's
Did
pretty.
you get that right?
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so this being a railroad town, Jane and I have only been here 6 years, so we never got to ride the trains through here, see the steam engines. Some of you, did anybody in here get to ride the steam engine? Yeah. That's so cool. We didn't get to do that. I'm sure it was so wonderful, and I hate we missed that, but we decided we would go out to Colorado several years ago and ride some of the steam engines out there. And we had such a good time, we decided to go back last year and do some different ones. So we did a trip riding 4 different trains out there, so that's what we're going to show you tonight. And so I'm calling it Trains and Snapshots because we took a lot of pictures. And there was really a threefold purpose of our presentation tonight, not the trip, but the presentation tonight. The first one is, we just wanted to share with you the joy, the beauty, the peace of some of the train excursions in Colorado and New Mexico that we got to experience. So love you from Colorado, so you're familiar with that. Also, we wanted, with you guys being an audience of rail fans, we wanted to share some tips and hints on how you can economically plan and execute a similar trip. That's Jane's specialty. She's almost like a travel agent. She could plan these things. And the third thing is, if a similar trip is not feasible for you, just enjoy the beauty and feel of riding the rails through the photography that we did there in Colorado and New Mexico. So that's the purpose of our presentation tonight. Now, the purpose of our trip, on the other hand, was combining the love of train travel with photography. For me, primarily the photography, and I wanted to choose a time of year in the fall to do that. So we were seeking unique train excursions, landscapes, and immersive experiences. That's how I like to call it. And visiting a national park, if possible. Didn't know if that might work out on this trip. And also knowing that if we weren't careful, we might learn something new. And if we weren't careful, we might even have fun. Which we did have fun. So we were not very careful because we did learn stuff new and we had a lot of fun. So we visited, is this yours?
No, this is you.
Visiting Colorado, we'll be trading back and forth here. Visiting Colorado and northern New Mexico, seeking heritage steam trains first, because I wanted to ride behind the steam engine. Excursion trains with unique views, views that are just different from anything we had experienced before. Fall colors in the Rockies. So we went the last week in September and the first week in October, trying to catch those fall colors and everything. And then, of course, for me, scenic photographic opportunities. So pictures you see here, everything you see is stuff that Jane and I took. Mostly me. But yeah, this is Jane going to talk about planning our adventure a little bit.
Yeah, so just a little bit about how we went about planning. So you can see some pictures of some different resources. The purpose, I gotta get it.
We got a bunch of these, trains, magazines, guidebooks.
So Ralph was really the one who picked the first train, and that was
Cumbres Toltec.
I have never been able to say it. Cumbres to Toltec. So he very much wanted to do that train. So from there, we looked to find others that were of historical significance and had the scenic value for the photography. So we looked for both. We used a variety of resources. Ralph subscribes to the Trains magazine, and he also purchased this Tourist Trains guidebook, which was very useful, and that's where we found a lot of these. I use maps, apps, and AI. So I use a lot of apps. I'm going to talk to you about what I do use, and I've started to use AI as well. But of course, you can still use a paper map. We all still know how to read those, so we can still use it. And then I mentioned airline schedules because we often fly Allegiant, and Allegiant doesn't have, out of Asheville, they don't necessarily go to the same places every day. So you have to know when they go to Colorado, when they're flying back from Colorado, and begin to plan around that. Now, if you're flying Delta or American, you probably can get places pretty much similarly every day. But because we fly Allegiant, we go that route. We decided to go north to south to follow the seasons and the elevation. So as we went south, we actually went higher. And so we had to think about that as well, thinking about how long it was going to take us to drive from A to B, what the situation would be from the standpoint of lodging, which I'll talk about more later. We looked at train schedules first. The very first thing I did was buy tickets to Cumbres Toltec. I don't know why I can't say that. Because that was our priority. That was our hub, or our anchor, if you will. So you started looking at that and then researching best seats. I'm going to hit that several times. But there are better seats on trains and there are bad seats on trains when you're looking at the scenic. So I share a little bit more about that. And then rental car prices are all over the place. And I would just simply say, if you're going to rent a car, if you have a major credit card, see if they have travel rewards. Use those. And also Costco travel, if you're a member of Costco or Sam's Club. So that was the next piece we did, and then I'll let Raul talk about his photography and the planning for that.
Yeah, from a photography standpoint, I definitely wanted to take my DSLR because this gives me a lot of creative control. Sometimes you may see me out there working the polarizing filter on the end and make those blue skies pop, and things like that. So this camera and my GoPro, those are typically, this thing is so tiny and it shoots like you wouldn't believe how nice this thing shoots. Both of them shoot video and still pictures. So those are my two go-to. The GoPro was a go-to. I didn't think about that. But these are my two GoPro cameras. And planning for weather and views, we plan for views. You can't really plan for the weather, except we think fall in Colorado should be dry. You better chances of getting blue skies and everything. And that.
We got lucky. I think we had rain one day the whole time we were there. We got lucky. So where did we go? We started in Georgetown, which is not that far out of Denver. And I'll show you the map in a moment, and it's a Georgetown loop. It's a loop, it's a little shorter. That's the one we started with. From there, we went to the Colorado Springs area and did Pikes Peak. We got some really interesting pictures from there. We continued south, and we ended up in Cañon City, and we did the Royal Gorge, which was absolutely spectacular. And then we ended in Cumbres and Toltec, which it skirts the New Mexico-Colorado line. And so you start in one state and end in the other. And we'll tell you a little bit more about that. So those are the places that we went. So just a quick map. We landed in Denver. We were able to get to Georgetown within an hour and a half. It wasn't bad at all. And so we stayed in Georgetown that first night after we arrived in Colorado. And then the next day, we did the Georgetown
Loop Railroad. And the Georgetown Loop Railroad is a short ride. It was built in the 1870s to service a silver mine called the Lebanon Silver Mine. They call it an engineering marvel because the tracks loop over themselves to gain elevation. If you're familiar with Old Fort, they have the loops and the tunnels that work their way up the mountain so the grade is not too steep. They couldn't do that here in Saluda, so they just came right up the mountain. So that's why we have such a steep grade here. But in this one, it was so steep they needed to loop the tracks over each other, so you'll see that a little bit. And this train runs May through November, and they run 5 trains a day. And each train is only an hour and 20 minutes long, the tour is. Or if you want to do an additional part and go into the mine, the silver mine itself, it's 2.5 hours, 2.5 hours. We did not do that, we just did the train ride. And you can see a picture of the train, the steam engine that pulled us. And you see the green cars there. Those green cars are enclosed, and they use those in the winter when it's cold or in the colder months, and they're heated. Today it's really nice, so they have open air cars, and everybody just enjoys open air cars. And in fact, you can see all the open air cars here as we're starting our way up the mountain. And you can even tell another train just came by. Can you tell that? Because he left his tracks.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
That's how James gets
no, you're in control of this, Jim.
Yeah, it was a bad joke. It was just a bad joke.
Do you want me to hit off?
Anyway, as we started out, then the train goes up and over, and you say, well, Ralph, how'd you get that shot? Because I was on the train. But we came the day before, and we just kind of scoped it out a little bit from a photographic standpoint, and I said, you know, these trips are they're short trips, so I want to get, and our trip wasn't till like maybe afternoon or something. So I went back over from the hotel, it's only a mile from where we were staying, and got this picture of one of the other ones going over, because I wanted to get the picture, and look at all the aspens down here, turning yellow, and the blue sky with the steam engine going by. I said, that would make a pretty shot, so I just got that. And then from the train, looking back down, if you were in that last shot looking down, you would see where the track, we started down here, and this is the actual parking lot, and the train loops around this way and then up over the bridge out here to start gaining its altitude, because it just couldn't go straight up. And actually, that's I-70 running overhead up there, if you head on up to the ski slopes.
So the only pictures I take on these trips is I like to shoot the shooter. So I take pictures of him shooting. It's just a fun pastime of mine.
I'm always behind the camera, I'm never in the picture unless she shoots it. So she's shooting the shooter there. And also here, she shot the shooter here, and I'm out here shooting. But the reason I wanted to include that picture because of the picture I took. The picture you see me taking there is this picture right here of the train going around, and I was on the right-hand side. Does anybody know what these circles are in the middle of the picture photographically?
It's a sunlight splotch, a lens reflection.
That's a good thought, but no, we were close to Area 51, and they had a lot of spaceships. No.
Again, I'm sorry.
John White, I'm shooting into the sun, so I get these reflections in there. Sometimes you can't help it.
It looks like a blue moon to me.
It does, doesn't it? But look at the colors. We're in open air cars, and the colors are just blowing my mind. The blue, you can't see the blue sky here, but the green evergreens, the yellow aspens were just at peak, and I was just going crazy looking at all that, and it was such a beautiful day.
Look at that.
And here you can see too, we're actually on the way down here, so the engine is having to push us back down the mountain, I believe.
Yeah.
In that case, but just the.
It was big. We hit it at peak.
Yeah.
One thing that I always encourage, and we've done, I call these our nomad vacations, because we land somewhere, we rent a car, and then we just go places. And we've done this for quite a few years, but over the years I realized to build time into the trip and don't overbook yourselves. Give yourself time to talk to the locals and to your fellow travelers, because if you don't, you might miss something. We aren't from Colorado, so we didn't realize we were right at the Guanella Pass. And so we got into Georgetown by noon. We couldn't get into our hotel until 3. So we went into this little grocery store, and I asked the clerk, okay, we got 3 hours to kill, what should we do? And she said, you should do the pass. And I was like, what pass? So then she pulled out a map. It was literally, it started in Georgetown. And we would have missed scenes like this. And scenes like this, had we not just decided to say, hey, what would you do if you had 3 hours to someone local?
And Georgetown's about the size of Saluda, so it's right there. It's like driving out the road right there and going to it.
And I think, you guys are from Colorado, I think it goes back towards Denver, doesn't it, from there? So it's over, and then, but it's absolutely gorgeous. And the best part, because you realize he's always taking pictures. So what we got on this was the best picture of us from the whole trip, because I think it was the only picture of us from the whole trip. So that is our picture from the Guanella Pass. From there, we went to the Colorado Springs area. So we left Georgetown. We were there one night. So we got there the one day, did the night, did the train, and then we left and we drove down to Colorado Springs. When we woke up the next morning, though, it was a continental breakfast. We were in a little local lodge. And we started talking to, because Ralph and I are very shy, we don't talk to strangers, but in this case, we decided to talk to these folks. They were on their way to Leadville, and there was another train excursion. We didn't get to do that one, but they said, if you're just traveling today, take the longer way and go through Leadville. It's a neat place to go. So we changed our plans. We were going to go back through Denver and down to Colorado Springs on the interstate because it's quicker. But we ended up going to Leadville, and we're really glad that we did. We saw, again, these were not planned things. We just have built in the time to do these spontaneously. So we got to see the Leadville Depot, which I guess is where the train excursion
Yeah, the
was
train
from.
excursion was out at the time, they
Yeah.
doing this excursion things.
Yeah. And while we were there, we walked around town a little bit. I bought a hat. I don't know why I remember that. But we asked somebody, what is the best way, what is the most scenic way for us to get from here to Canyons, to Colorado Springs, which is where we were going. And they suggested we go, and you'll see it on this map, to this place called Twin Lakes.
We just go right past it.
Yeah, it was about 3 miles off the highway, so we would have missed it. And so again, we would have missed some amazing pictures. So can you see Ralph down there in the blue? So I did take this picture with a cell phone, by the way. But so I was getting a picture of him. I was a little worried about rattlesnakes, but there have been times where I lose him off the side there, and I think he's fallen off the mountain. But then he got this picture while he was working his way down there, which
Yeah,
was
that
just
and
lovely.
many others, we can't show them all, of
No.
course.
And so after we left there, we did end up getting down into Manitou Springs near Colorado Springs for the next excursion.
But the whole point is we got to see some beautiful things, but just asking people,
Yeah.
what might be around there. And it was a lot of, the old, have you ever seen the Where's Waldo thing? It's kind of like me, I get off of this and where's Ralphie? He's out there somewhere. And now we're going down to the Manitou and Pikes Peak Railway. Now that one's kind of interesting too. It's a cog railway. Does anybody know what a cog railway is? I'll have to explain it real quickly because some of you may not know, but a cog railway has a third rail in the middle between the two regular rails. And that third rail has like gears in it, and it meshes with the gear underneath the train cars. And they use that to pull up much steeper grades because the train can't pull some of these steep grades. And I'll give you an idea in a minute here. It's a 3.5-hour ride up to an elevation of 14,115 feet. So you're getting up pretty darn high on that one.
3.5 hour round trip.
It's a 3.5-hour round trip up to there. It's a 12% average grade. And what's the average grade here?
4.7.
4.7 is the average grade on the saluted grade. That's a 12% average with a 25% maximum grade. Our max is 5.1, and we're the steepest main line in the nation. That's not a main line, and it's not a standard gauge track. It's a cog railway, so it can climb that. Also, it's incredibly comfortable and scenic in these trains. You can see the train cars here, how pretty they are. A great visitor center on top with views on the top of Pikes Peak at over 14,000. It's one of the 58 14ers, they call it in Colorado. There are 58 peaks above 14,000 feet. And this is one of them. This is the only one that has a train. You don't have to, most of them you have to hike to.
Yeah.
Just an idea of the depot, and the guy told me, when I told him, I said, yeah, in Saluda, we have a 5.9% grade. He said, at our station, we're sitting at a 7% grade right here. I said, oh, okay. He kind of humbled me a little bit there. But anyway, beautiful station when you go to climb that one. And here is you can see the cog railway here. You see this middle rail right here? You see the gears in it? So all the train cars have the gears underneath those, so they get in those cogs or those gears, and they pull those elevations. So you'll see that all the way up there.
It feels very different. To me, it felt very different.
I'm not
And when you're up at like 25, it's like you're going up a roller coaster. It's a really interesting feeling in a train.
And then once you get to the top, they let you go and you. No, I'm just kidding. They don't do that. It's totally beautiful and controlled. This might be the worst picture I took on the whole trip, but it's the only one I had of inside the car. But just see inside the car, and these seats are seat specific, so you buy a particular seat.
Yeah, I was going to say that here too. So this family here, the folks who were facing, and they were a sweet couple. They were homesteading outside of Colorado. They got out of the crazy of Miami, is what they said. But you do have an assigned seat, and so you need to see. You can see on this side there's a view, and you can see on that side there's a rock wall. So you do want to do your research, and you can find out online pretty quickly which side you want to be on, and then you can get your tickets.
As we got higher, the views we see them on both sides. As you can tell, now we've arrived at the top of here, but we're at 14,000 feet. I didn't think that would be too high. I've done a lot of skiing out west and stuff, and I usually get pretty acclimated. And we had been at like mostly 8,000 to 9,000 feet the whole time. But I started feeling swimming headed up there,
Yeah.
15,000 feet. And it was cold up there, so people wearing shorts were not real happy when they got on the train. Because they're like, whoa, and it's still, you'll see some snow in a minute. But it's just downright chilly out there.
And this was the last week of September, just to.
But you don't have far to walk into the visitor center, so it's heated in there and everything, but it just beautiful up there. And this was our Airbnb where we stayed. Really good price on that one. No, just kidding.
Air conditioning.
That was the old original visitor center, the first building they built on top. Yes, Wayne?
Ralph, you said the cars have cogs. Does every car pull, or is there just an engine pulling like other trains?
Wayne, I'm not 100% sure, but I think every car has them, so if a car broke loose or something like that, it wouldn't go running down the roadway. But it may be just a brake system that stops it, so I really don't know the answer to that.
Oh, okay.
We may have to Google that one, you know. But anyway, yeah, that was the original center. And now we're looking back down, you still see some snow. This is late September, so it's one of the earlier snows they had up there that had melted in the sun. But look how beautiful that is out across there. But they forgot to tell us to look out for wildlife up there. So I wasn't looking out for the wildlife, and they get you in the headlock if you're not careful. You gotta be careful.
Always gotta find Sasquatch for everybody.
Yep, gotta find that. But Jane, tell me about this.
Yeah, so this is in Colorado Springs as well. This is Garden of the Gods. And so I built in a day and decided to give us a little something different to do. So these apps I've listed, Viator, Get Your Guide, and then also within Airbnb now, they have experiences you can book. So it's locals that you can do something with. And so in this case, we did an e-bike 3-hour tour in Garden of the Gods. And so you meet up, and I mean, it's just a fun thing to do in the middle of it all. And so I just wanted to highlight those apps, because really anywhere you go, you can pull those up and say, I want to do something fun today. And you can book it right there online. So I encourage you to do that.
Yeah, and then we went on from there, Jane.
Yep, so we left the next day, and it was a full travel day, and we didn't have that far to go, and I said, let's find out what else we can do. So once again, I asked somebody local, what else could we do in Manitou Springs? And so we ended up at the Cave of the Winds, which is a cave. You can go do a tour, which we did. It was like a 2-hour tour. Very well done. So again, not planned. Had no idea we were going to do it, but because we built in the day and the weather was good, and we said, what else can we do? So just don't, I guess my point is, don't overschedule yourself, and be willing to talk to people and ask them.
Yeah, tell the people on the train, on the bus, I'm talking about overscheduling.
Oh, yeah.
We had run into these people who was a whole bunch of people, they were in a group, and they were doing bus tours and going from train to train. They were just doing one after another like that. They were so worn out.
We saw them twice.
We saw them twice.
And they were so jealous of the fact that we were looking rested.
Yeah.
It was a planned tour.
They planned theirs too tight,
Yeah.
From there, we go from Manitou Springs, we're gonna work our way down to Cañon City now, just heading south again. But from the airport, you can just kind of get an idea of how far we've traveled. We've gone from there to Georgetown, to Leadville, to the lakes. Down here to Manitou Springs, went up to the top of Pikes Peak, and now we come down to Cañon City. There's technically a tilde over the end on that, but my computer wouldn't do that.
So there was quicker ways for us to get places, but we chose back roads and we chose to take our time.
Because on the back roads, you see scenes like this, you're just driving along, and it's like, we got to stop here, just shoot a picture of that. While we were there, several motorcycles went riding by, they people out touring and everything. It was just beautiful, to see some of the things there.
I'll share this here. Diversity of accommodations. So when I'm planning, I'm thinking about how long we're going to be somewhere, what we might need in that situation. So I'm thinking about, do we want to cook? Do we want an Airbnb with a kitchen? Or do we want to go out to eat all the time, which can get very expensive, as we all know. And so when I'm thinking about where and what kind of accommodations to pick, I think about these things. Do we want a kitchen? We have very different sleep schedules. He's a morning person, I am not. And so I'm usually up at midnight, he's up at 6. And so sometimes it's nice to have a place where I can stay out in the living room and he can go to bed. Whereas in a hotel room, you're kind of stuck. So how many nights is also something that I consider. And twice during our stay, we needed a place to do laundry. So I selected Airbnbs for both Manitou Springs and Cañon City for us to be able to do laundry. We were there for 2 nights. A couple of other things to think about. A few years ago, we did the Durango to Silverton, and we stayed downtown Durango, which was lovely, but parking was not so lovely. And so you do need to think about the accessibility issue with parking, if that's an issue for you, where you might have parking. So we do we're Hilton members, so we do the chains. You know, Hampton Inn here looks like Hampton Inn there, and sometimes it's nice to see that familiar place. I do like to do local lodges, which we did do in Georgetown and Antonito. And then if you want the Airbnb or the VRBO, be sure you put in your parameters if you want the entire place or just a room, because you can select, so you can sleep in somebody's bedroom, or you can get the whole place. And then you want to make sure that it has laundry in the kitchen if that's what you're looking for.
And my favorite place was the cave. We stayed in it for 3 nights. It was
He's making that up. He is, the place up here at the top with the blue, that was our Airbnb in Manitou Springs, and it was lovely.
Yeah.
It was lovely. We had great parking. We were there for 2 days, and we cooked. So we didn't go out
That
to
was
eat.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
But now we're working our way down there. We went to the Royal Gorge Railroad, and it's really a cool railroad too. And you can see it's another beautiful day down there. One thing about it, it's a 24-mile long trip. It's not real time consuming, I'll tell you that in a minute, but it goes down along the river in a 1,200-foot deep gorge. So it just gets really pretty. It's just a 2-hour round trip. It's pulled by a diesel engine, you notice, and not a steam engine in this case, and that is a standard gauge railroad. There are a variety of choices of how to ride on this one, all at different prices. The base one is just an air-conditioned coach, a regular train coach. You can also get in the club car or the Vista Dome car, which is one of these right here. And as well as just an open-air observation car. Everybody's got access to the open-air observation cars. But the club car, the dining car, the Vista Dome, they all have full meal service and full bars in there too. So we ended up choosing one of those. You'll see in a minute. But got our tickets there. We're ready to go. And here's the engine that's pulling it. I wonder why all the trains out in Colorado have these big things on the front of them. Any idea what that is? They have to plow that snow and get it out of the way. And I had a chance to get up on one of the engines and get in one of the engines, because I always wanted to drive a train, you know. So at least I got inside, but they wouldn't let me drive it. So I was wanting to get a picture there. This is called an HDR picture, where I could get from the contrast outside to be able to see inside. That's a whole nother story we'll talk about another time. But, and also just look, you can tell the train just went by. See that? Never mind. But anyway, just looking down the track, that's where we're getting ready to go. We're gonna head into that gorge. There's Jane out there in front, but you can see just a beautiful train, a beautiful day out there. And as the train is going along the tracks, we got this picture because we missed the train. Darn, we missed it. No, we really didn't. This was outside watching them, because it's only a couple hours, and we got to see another train go by. So you see the train, you can see a standard car behind it, you can see the Vista Dome car right here, which we chose to get, because if it's a rainy day, that's the best place to be. If it's not rainy, it doesn't matter. And it wasn't raining, it was beautiful. And then they also have several of these open air cars, so anybody can go to those, and we spent most of our time, frankly, in the open air car. But in the Vista Dome itself, you do have meal service, bar service, so we got us a meal in there, enjoyed it for a while, then we said, oh, it's so beautiful outside, we got to get out and go to one of the other, that big open air car, which we did. So we got out there and, oh, there's Jane shooting me again. And you notice it's not 1,200 feet deep here, yet we're working ourselves deeper into the gorge as we go on this one. And
That's a pretty good picture of us. Yeah, I like that one too.
There was another one. Somebody was nice enough to take that one of us. And you can see the gorge is getting deeper as we're going around down by the river. Sometimes we saw people rafting and kayaking down the river too as we went along.
And they have, some of the staff are just out on these open air cars, and they're trained to find the sheep that are up on the side of the mountains. And they'll find them, and then they'll point them out to you. I did see one.
Bighorn
Bighorn
sheep,
yeah.
And just to give you cool idea.
It was breathtaking. It depends, I heard the question, how long is the train? Depends on how many people book tickets, because they keep adding cars if they have. I don't know if they ever sell out.
Now, you see that bridge at the top up there? You're gonna see that right there. That's a bridge that's 1,200 feet over your head, right there, down by the river, and we're gonna go there tomorrow, on our trip, and see that, not tomorrow,
The next day.
the next day we're going there, yeah. But from there, you can look down and see the train, so.
Which will show you.
And as we got back, I had a chance to meet with the conductor on the train and talk with him. And then the engineer was kind of cool. He was, and when they do the Christmas ones, this engineer plays a different role. He never told me what role he played. I was like, no. Yeah. And, anyway, that was kind of cool.
Talk about your harness, because you've got it over there. That's a picture.
Oh yeah, that was one thing I didn't share. You'll see me wearing this harness a lot because it lets me hands-free carry my camera. It's just a quick clip. I clip it in and out very fast. And it's got a little tether so I can't accidentally drop it. But my camera goes in there, so you'll see me wearing this, and it gives my hands free. I can ride bicycles, motorcycles, rowboats. I can do all kinds of stuff with the harness, but I still have my camera available. So
It's a cool piece of
that's what you see me wearing
Yeah.
there pretty often. Thanks, Shannon. Things like that.
So another app I wanted to mention to you. So this is called the Tunnel Trail, and it's in Cañon City. I keep forgetting where we are. Cañon City. And so if you don't have all trails on your phone, it's a great app to help you find a trail that's right for you. Can you go back? Did you? Yeah. And also AI. I'm telling you, I've started using it, and you can be so specific that you want a trail for someone who's 60 years old who just had a broken leg, and it will tell you a trail you can do. So don't be afraid of the technology that can really help you plan these trips.
Yeah, the same trail here. And you can actually see the railroad track down here. That's where the train was going. We were on actually the day before, weren't we?
No, we did the trail after
we
we did the train ride.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. It was late on that day.
Yeah.
It was just beautiful up there too. Walking along the trail, seeing the train down below. And this picture Jane shot of me, I'm shooting a picture of a cactus. And it doesn't look like it's very impressive, but the resulting picture, I just thought was pretty. So I saw that. I knew what it looked like in the camera.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So it was just kind of fun shooting that. And that's not an Airbnb we stayed in. That's coming out on. The caves just go through this whole trail. The trail is basically flat.
It is.
You
Once
go
you get
up-
up the first day,
You
yeah.
go up this small incline, then it's just flat, running right above the tracks. And just sit back, relax a little bit, watching the train go by down below.
It's very pretty.
It didn't go by right at that second. And then even driving back to the Airbnb, you just stop and see the sunsets because everything is just so beautiful out there. And then the next day, we went to the Royal Gorge Bridge. This is that same bridge you saw that's now 1,200 feet above the bottom of the gorge. So the train, the tracks, the river, all that's down below you there.
And just an aside, so both in Georgetown and here, Ralph did some reconnaissance to find out what time we could expect to see the train either go over the bridge or go under the bridge. And so we timed our trip so that he could hopefully get some shots of that.
Yeah, I wanted to get a few shots. And you could also ride, what do they call these? Zip line. This is a zip line. You could ride the zip line across the gorge. But notice they have these old World War II parachutes you sit on, just in case, because that's what you're going over.
I did not do that.
No, those aren't really parachutes. I don't know what they are. I just made that up. Anyway, you are going over that gorge. In fact, you can see the railroad track down below, and you're up pretty high, John. When you're flying your airplane, you're probably around 1,200 feet or so, many times.
Yeah.
They also had an opportunity to swing. We didn't do this either. So we watched that father who's out with his children.
See, that's where you're swinging, that over the gorge.
We watched, we didn't partake in that.
Anyway, I thought you did a little kick out of seeing that. And now, since we did time it where the train is coming, you can look down and see the train coming down through there. You can see the open air cars. There's one here, one in the back. And
It was really, so this was the day after we had been on the train. And I would recommend doing it in that order, doing the train first and then the park, because we'd already experienced it down in the gorge and then seen and looked up. So that was very cool.
there's supposed to be a little video right there.
Is it not working?
Let's try it again. This one had a little,
Here, right here. And when you're up there on the bridge, you can hear the trains. There are really cool sounds.
some of that you hear, there's a wind noise in the microphone in the camera.
He's going. Very good.
So you can see some of the regular train cars, and somewhere there's a Vista Dome at the very top. And then you'll see an open air car with people in it.
It was very cool.
So it's kind of cool to be up there and see it down below, since we had been below the day before looking up at it.
For sure.
And I've always, like I said, I wanted to drive a train, but I finally got my chance. So here we go. I'll be driving. So I was having a great time there.
That was in the park.
Yeah, so after as our day was winding down, we wanted just to, we could actually drive up above the bridge here. So I'm shooting some pictures here and just getting a picture of Jane, just enjoying some sunset relaxation there, looking down on the bridge and the gorge. But you didn't have to hike up here, you can just drive right up
There's
to
a
this.
parking lot right over to my right.
Oh, yeah.
That was very, very nice way to end our time in Cañon City.
It was. And so the next morning, we found they had a caboose that is a coffee and breakfast shop. So this is inside the caboose. Jane is ordering us a little breakfast there with some coffee, and just a great idea to use a caboose for something like that. And you can see the caboose here and walking out on the deck.
And this was another travel day, so we got out of our Airbnb and decided to go back over to the train station, look around a little bit. And Ralph was wandering around and I was getting coffee.
And this is at the Royal Gorge train. So
Yeah.
the train is just over here to my right, about 50 feet away from me. And in fact, you can see the train in the background right there, sitting there.
It was very nice.
They got a nice deck and sitting area out here. And then you can also go inside this caboose. This is just to enjoy your coffee or your breakfast. So in the next picture, I'm gonna walk in a door down here on your left and go in and get up there. So you can see I came in this door, but look at the beautiful seating in there. You can sit back and enjoy your breakfast in the caboose and climb up here. And I didn't have my glasses on, so I didn't see the sign. Can anybody read that?
It says, please no climbing.
No climbing or sitting. I didn't believe that. So what am I doing but climbing up in there? And
Good for you.
I'm sitting up there enjoying my coffee. I'm looking down the track. Oh, another train just went by. You can see. And we just enjoyed it up there. But it was just so nice to be able to do all that.
So in our last 15 minutes, we want to really focus in on this amazing ride we took down on the New Mexico border. So we drove down from Cañon City, and we knew we were going to drive right past the Great Sand Dunes National Park.
Which is right here.
So we wasn't too far out of our way, so like, we're going to make that happen. So we did stop there, and we got a few pictures there. I just want to be sure we get to the Cumbres Toltec before Mary.
No.
Yeah, so we're going to Cumbres Toltec, which will be down in Antonito. And Antonito is a tiny, tiny little place. But anyway, we're going down to Antonito, but we went up to the Great Sand Dunes. So we go to the Great Sand Dunes National Park, and we're walking from the parking lot, and I'm looking out across there. I said, well, it's just sand dunes. You know, we see those down at the beach. It's not a real big deal. But as we start walking out there, I started realizing this place is bigger than I thought. And we're looking around and looking at the mountains beside it, where you're above the tree line. And we're at the sand dunes here at the beach. You're at sea level. Right here, we're at 7,700 feet. Right here on the flat sand. You know, we're at some fairly high altitude there. But looking out across the sand dunes, do you see these little ants that are out there?
Those are big.
Those aren't ants, those are people. So that just gives you an idea. And you can climb, you can walk up the sand dunes, and they're 700 feet high, so that puts you over 8,000 feet in elevation if you want to walk that.
Has anybody else ever been to this
Any
national
else
park?
been
It is crazy, isn't it?
It is
It's
crazy.
just crazy.
The place is just huge. And
In the middle of Colorado. I mean,
The walk from the parking lot to where the sand dunes, and that kind of varies depending on how winds have moved the sand dunes at times, but it's like a quarter to a third of a mile walk just through flat sand. And it's kind of like walking at the beach, but it's fairly soft sand right there. And I had a note here. They said in the summertime, the sand can get up to 150 degrees. So in the summer, this is, now we're early October, it is very pleasant, but in the summertime, you had flip-flops on, you'd burn your feet. Probably melt the flip-flops on there.
It was a lot.
But yeah, it's a 3-mile hike up to the top if you want to go to the top. I thought I wanted to until I started walking in the sand. And
that's me saying, I'm not going any further.
we got up on one of the ridges, and you know, every step you take, you slide back about a half step. So it's like, you don't make a lot of progress, and it's a lot of work. The calf muscles are working. So Jane said, I'm gonna stop here, but I wanted to go on up at least over there and get a little higher. So Jane says, I'm through. I'm gonna sit down and wait for you. But now we're looking back to where the parking lot is down there. You almost can't see it because she's up pretty high already. But it's just a good place to sit and enjoy.
I guess it would be windy sometimes to
It
make
could. It wasn't this day, but I'm
dunes
sure it could,
the way
because it
they
can
are.
make the
They keep
dunes
moving.
change shape over time. It does.
Don't wanna be in
And as
the-
I walk further up, there's Jane still sitting down there. So there's a
How's
little
that?
idea how far I am up. But these two ladies here, I was getting a kick out of.
Good
You can
grief.
rent or bring your own, like these boogie boards, and they wax the bottom and they slide down these sand dunes. So these ladies, this lady here had just slid. I talked to them up here. She had just slid to the
Oh,
bottom.
God.
This lady is either sliding down or on the way back up. I can't tell exactly. But again, to climb back up, it's like a half-hour walk to get back from there back up to here because it's a lot of work. But it was just absolutely beautiful. So
It was worth going by there. And
It
it
sure
was
was.
very underrated. I think it's an underrated national park.
I went back down, joined with Jane. She had met some folks that were using the wax boogie boards to slide down the slopes and everything. So we were just kind of watching and laughing with them as they did that. And as we started to leave, the sun was getting a little bit lower now, and it was casting shadows on the sand dunes. I said, man, that's pretty. We got to pull the car off here and stop. So we kind of
We actually turned around.
and went back where I could get a picture. But looking at the beautiful foreground, the mountains here, the sand dunes, then the mountains back behind it, and
And I just noticed this, if you notice the law of thirds, man, you got that perfect.
oh, thank you.
Just thought it's
Yeah. And the sand dune, except the main dune, is 6 miles wide by 8 miles long. And the whole park itself is 167 square miles. That thing is a huge park, so.
And you can see the aspens up behind. I mean, it was
Yeah,
just
the
a
aspens
really
up
cool
on the
park.
mountains up here until you get above the tree line, then they go away too. You see all the aspens across there, that elevation, but then you get above the tree line where there's no trees growing and all, it's just beautiful. Now we're going to the Cumbres and Toltec, and the reason I wanted to do this one because 2 years ago we did the Durango to Silverton, and it was very similar, but also different. It was an all-day excursion pulled by a steam engine. So this one, this was a 3-foot gauge track. It is pulled by original Baldwin steam engines, which I wanted to experience. It's America's longest and highest narrow gauge railroad. It is 64 miles long, peaking on the Cumbres Pass at 10,015 feet. And again, you can imagine the beauty. It's a maximum 4% grade climbing up to the Cumbres Pass. And it's just an all-day ride from Chama, New Mexico to Antonito, Colorado. And the cool thing is that they have this huge buffet that you stop at in the middle.
He was quite impressed with the buffet.
And, so a question here is, which direction do you go? Do you go from Antonito to Chama, New Mexico, or do you go from Chama here? And you can do both because they run trains in both directions and they meet in the middle for lunch. And we stayed in Antonito, but if you do that, you take a bus as part of your ticket fare. They put you on like a Greyhound bus, they take you down to Chama, you get on the train, and you end up back where you started. If you're staying in Chama, New Mexico, you take the bus up to Antonito and you catch that train down, and the two cross in the middle for lunch. And it's all day either way. But one thing notice about this map, all this green, that's the mountains. All this is the plains over here. So if we rode from Chama on the train back here, so if I want the best views, which side of the train do I want to be on, the right side or the left side? It's kind of hard to tell. But yeah, we wanted to be on the right side, and Jane had researched that and found out that the views looking down this way are awesome. The views looking that way, you're kind of watching walls much of the time. And you'll see, oh yeah, as a steam engine was getting ready to go this morning, I didn't know what he was doing, but I think he was roasting marshmallows for us. I'm not real sure. Or either that, he was cleaning the ashes out of the steam engine, one of the two. I'm going with the marshmallows. And then we're in Chama getting ready to start our journey there. And as I look at our car, I'm just saying, yeah, this car is rather ornate and nice looking as we started getting in there. So we had our tickets. We were ready to ride on the Cumbres Toltec. And looking inside the car, I noticed, now we did get the last car on the train, which was a little more expensive. It has like a bar service, and you got coffee and snacks the whole time.
You also get a view
But
of
notice,
your own.
instead of standard chairs, they just have chairs sitting here, and you're looking out the window, and you have assigned seating. And it's beautiful, so we had the best view on the right side going north. If you were going Antonito down to Chama, you'd want the left side, because you get the same view. And you can always, if you don't like the view, you can always step outside and get any of the views you want from either side, which we did a lot. And just showing a picture of it going up through the mountains. We're starting the climb there. There's Jane enjoying her coffee as I reach back around and get a little picture of her. And she actually forgot her hairdryer that day. She was drying her hair.
How fast does the train go?
I would say no more than 25 miles an hour.
It's pretty slow.
Okay.
It's nice.
It's nice.
It takes all day, and
It goes 64 miles.
you really get to enjoy the views. And we could not have gotten a better day. I mean, it was,
No, I
you
know.
can see.
But
the
you'll see
pictures.
from the pictures that how, just going on the crossing here. In this picture, Jane took of me, I'm shooting a picture, but notice the aspens outside the window. So this is what I shot. You know. I'm shooting this kind of stuff, I'm just going crazy because it's like, I don't see that around here, you know, those elevations.
It's
And
different.
the ruggedness of the mountains, the emerald blue, not emerald blue, but the cobalt blue skies, sometimes clouds, sometimes not, the beautiful aspens, even the smoke from the steam engine. Jane on the back, and she didn't drink a lot of coffee, but it seemed like every time I got home, she had
I think I was actually drinking tea.
Maybe it wasn't
Maybe.
coffee.
You think that could
Take the tea, but you just gonna share a few pictures. That's one of the open air cars. We never went in those on this trip, on this train, because we had such great seats already. But if you didn't get the best seats, you can always go in the open air cars and enjoy that. But look at just how rugged it is. Just beautiful going up to the Cumbres Pass.
It was spectacular.
And this is the highway that the bus rode to get us down there, and the other people riding the bus up, so you're getting some of the same views. What can you say? You know, some people live up there, and
They have to leave before snowfall. There's only one service road, and they literally go and make sure people are not staying for the winter, because if you can't get in or out. But obviously, that's a nice little summer cottage.
yeah, nice little summer cottage there. And we're starting to pick up a few little clouds, which I love, because they get those white fluffy clouds in amongst the cobalt blue skies and the rolling hills. But notice the track right here. I'm in the train, and to keep from going up a real steep grade, they wind all over the place. And so you can see a track. We're working our way down the mountain, I think, in this shot, and that track is right there. This is even a better example. The track is going over here, it goes over where Jane is, does a loop, comes back this way. I mean, it's working its way down the mountain, so it's keeping a very workable grade. And back here is a motor car that followed us about a quarter to a half mile behind. Any idea why he was following us? Did he miss the train and just trying to catch up, or? In fact, here's a close-up of him. There might be a clue in that picture.
Put out fires.
Yeah, this is a water tank he's carrying behind, so his job is to put out any fires that the train may have started. And they don't use coal anymore. They've gone to oil burning because the coal cinders would cause more fires. So they're going to oil burning, but still sparks off the rails can cause fires. And you don't want to have a fire going in the dry Colorado grasses out there. So, and this is where we stopped for lunch. Our train was heading north, the other train will be coming this way, so you can see that nice building right there.
Just look at the aspens up there.
Yeah, look at that.
I had never seen aspens in color. I mean, it was, and obviously we live in a beautiful place with fall colors, but it is a totally different experience.
Just doesn't.
Totally different.
And people getting off the train here to go down to have lunch. This is inside the area where they have the buffet lunch. So we got there about probably 10 minutes before the southbound train got there. So it's a great buffet. It was just a wonderful buffet, great time to eat. And then we had time to walk outside and shoot some pictures of the train sitting there and some of the background shots. And I was just enjoying that. And you can tell we're bound for Antonito. One thing I didn't like about this particular day, we had the back car, because I love to photograph from the back. This particular day, they needed this caboose up in Antonito for some kind of big event the next day. So they tacked this on the back, and we weren't allowed to go in it. So I couldn't get on the back to shoot pictures like I wanted to. It just made me mad, but.
You gotta roll with it.
Gotta roll with it. You know, we did it. Again, just beautiful shots. You can tell they're not going real fast.
And that's about as fast as it got.
I wanted to catch the steam whistle, but I missed it. We didn't have a lot of grade crossings, so it didn't blow the whistle a whole lot. There's Jane again with her tea out there, just enjoying the views, and we spent as much time outside as we did in. One thing I like about this picture is kind of interesting. This looks like a picture from Western movies you might see. And actually, lots of Western movies have been filmed right around here. They were telling us that the Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade was filmed right here.
And with this train.
And with this train, we got to see some of the places there, and it was on this train. The Lone Ranger was filmed there. The Legend of the Lone Ranger was filmed there. Wyatt Earp movie was filmed there. Butch and Sundance, the early days, was filmed with this train and around right this area here. Another movie called A Million Ways to Die in the Old West. That was filmed right there, but you can just you're getting now back into the flatlands, back
towards
Antonito. So Jane was out there by herself, but I wanted to join her, so I came out. Two totally separate pictures, different times, but
Nice.
I've tried to merge them together to see if And now we're back in Antonito, which is, for us, is further north, so it's closer to Denver, where we're going to be heading back. And the end of our day there.
You see, before I forget, so we stayed in Antonito. If you do this trip, I actually would not recommend you stay in Antonito. It's not terrible, but there was very little there. There was very little to pick from the standpoint of where to stay. There were like maybe 2 restaurants, so we did do a hotel because we were only there for one night.
Just north of there.
If you go to the map, Alamosa is about 30 minutes north. And so if you do this trip,
Antonito's right here.
stay in
And
Alamosa.
Ida means fall, means that's a tiny little place.
only about
Alamosa's here, it's a bigger place to stay.
It's a Hendersonville sized town. So
But
it's more-
I wanted to show you this because easy route choice is back to Denver.
This was the end of our trip, so we had to get back to Denver.
So we were going to the airport tomorrow, and you have for 20 minutes more, you can take the scenic route down by the ski slopes and all that stuff, or you can kick it up the flat plains up the interstate. So which one do you think we took? Yes, we took the more scenic route for sure. Jane, if you'll just share.
Sure. So just some last takeaways and tips. So first thing, if you're going to do it, I call them a nomad vacation. If you're going to do a nomad vacation, first decide what you want from the trip. Is it full bore, how many things can we get in a day? Is it sit by the beach and read a book, or is it somewhere in between? And so for us, it was see these cool trains, enjoy the state of Colorado, which we love dearly, and enjoy each other. And we were together in a car a lot. Apps, maps, and AI, I can't emphasize it enough. Utilize the technology on your phone. Books and magazines as well. And
Which we've got some up here if you want to see them afterwards.
And make room for plan B. Decide you're just going to get on an e-bike tour, or go to the cave, or be okay with the fact that there's a caboose at the back, right? You just have to be okay and adjust. Things are not going to always go the way you plan.
A few tips for photographs on the move. One is the best tips. I didn't mention cell phones. That's another camera I had with me, and I shot some stuff, and so did Jane. Make sure your lens is clean. You know, if you ever handed your phone to somebody And then you get it back and later you shoot pictures and they kind of like hazy and all. Fingerprints on those lenses. And so especially with cell phones, make sure, you know, you get your lens clean before you shoot pictures. That's the biggest hint I can give you. Keep your battery charged, so make sure you have a backup battery on there. And then some personal reflections. I would just say that emotional impact of slow travel. You're talking about the speed of the train is slow. You just enjoy that. We're used to a fast-paced life everywhere, and the power of place. You're in a place that's just gorgeous, so just enjoy it. So I'd say in closing, we just invite you to do the same type of thing, but the key thing is just whatever you do, just feel the joy every day. Thank you for your time. I hope you enjoy it.